Hi, it's Ann Katzeff of Ask Design. Today I'm talking about overlapping columns with Kadence Blocks. There's always more than one way to do something. In my previous post, we explored how to use the core WordPress Media and Text block for placing text on either side of an image or video. Now we'll delve into the Kadence Blocks plugin to build the same dynamic layout with overlapping columns. The plugin has a bunch of custom blocks that extend the editing and design capabilities of WordPress, and it has become one of my go-to plugins. First, we need to add the Kadence Blocks plugin to our site. We'll go to the left sidebar, hover over Plugins, and Add Plugin. We'll search for it, Kadence Blocks, and it will come up in the search results. I've already installed it, but if I hadn't, it would come with this Install Now button. So you would click on that. Once it's done with the install, then the button changes to Activate. So you click the Activate button and you're all set. We'll use a sequence of several custom blocks to construct our layout: row layout, section, advanced image, and advanced text. We'll click on the block inserter symbol to open up the full list of available blocks. All of the Kadence blocks and any other plugin blocks will appear at the top of this list, followed by the core WordPress blocks. You can scroll through here and look for it, or you can search for it. We're looking for row. There it is, row layout. Another option is to go to your content area and type a backslash and look for row. So we'll do that. The row layout block is the foundation for all Kadence layouts. Everything begins with this container block. You have so many options here. We're going to use the two equal option, and it gives us two equal blocks, equal widths. Let's do it. There we are. I'm going to go to the list view here, and you can see within the row are these two empty section blocks, another name for columns. We'll stick with all of the defaults for now. Open it up. The layout, two column, equal. You can change it here if you want, but the gutters for the row and columns are medium. And under the Advanced tab, you have a small amount of padding. And then in the vertical alignment area, let's go to the toolbar. That's none. And they're aligned at the top. So now, within each section, we'll add some content. We'll add the image to the left column, and in the right column, we'll add this paragraph. Okay, and so this is how it looks in its default form. Now I'll add the heading. Here's our nice heading using the advanced text block, which allows us to use not only text, which is the paragraph, but also all these headings, span, and div. So it's pretty advanced. I've changed the color in the Style tab over in the Settings sidebar. I've changed the color and the font size. And let me see, I've added a border, a one pixel border, and a little bit of padding. So the padding is under the Advanced tab, and the rest of the styles are under the Style tab. Negative margins come next, and these enable us to move text either right or left so that it overlaps whatever content you have on the side of it. And this feature is found in the Section Blocks Advanced tab. So let's go to the row layout and choose the section. Nothing happening there. We're not moving that, but in the section that contains the heading and the paragraph, we'll go over to our settings sidebar, style, nothing happening there, but in the advanced tab, I've got a right margin of 12 rem and a left margin of negative 12 rem. So that moves it over and keeps the content the same width. And now it overlaps the image. The next thing we'll do is increase the width of that image so that we'll keep the proportions the same. Let's select the row layout. One easy solution is to go to the settings sidebar and change the layout to left heavy. You can see it happens pretty quickly. Now, if you want another percentage that's not a preset, you hover over this bar and it will give you the fluid resizing tool. You click on that and you can decrease the size by dragging or increase the size. We'll go to 70%, and then I usually click somewhere again to disable that tool. Next, we want to put this content inside a box that has some background color, and then we'll improve the readability. Let's select that section and go to our settings sidebar, style. Doesn't have a background color yet, but we'll add one. There we go. And we'll add some padding. That's under the advanced tab. And actually, I want to reset that. There we go. Okay. And to accommodate for the padding, we'll adjust the margins. So let's go here, and I'll increase the negative margin. And that way it will look good. The next thing we'll do is switch the media to display on the right side rather than the left. Let's go to the row layout and open it up. We can see the two sections. The left section is on top. Let's move it underneath if we can. There we go. And so, yeah, it's showing up on the right side, but now we have to do a little adjusting here and switch the width of the left and right so that we have 30% on the left, 70% on the right. And now this content needs to be adjusted. We'll switch the margins. So we've got negative 14 on the right and 1.5 on the left. Oops, it's underneath the image. That's the Z setting. Let me see the Z index. Let's add a 1 to that, and it will move it up in the stacking order so that it displays above the image. And now for mobile responsiveness. Kadence Blocks provides 3 breakpoints for various block options: desktop, tablet, and mobile. These are accessed in the settings sidebar, these icons here. Now, the breakpoints are 1024 or more for desktop, 768 to 1024 pixels for tablet, and anything less than 768 would be considered a mobile device. Overlapping columns usually work well on desktop and tablet. Generally, they don't look great on mobile. The width is simply too narrow. They the columns will stack on mobile, but you'll still have to reset the margins to 0 so everything will display correctly. Now, when you use the Kadence responsive settings, you'll see the screen changes. So it gives you some idea of what's going on, but it's really best to view in another tab with your browser inspector tools to get a more accurate gauge of what's really happening. We'll select the section block that contains the content. Let's go down here. And in the device icon, let me see, I could change it to 0 and 0. And you can do that for each instance. Another way to handle it is to go to the front end, look at it with the inspector tool, identify that specific instance, and change the margins to 0, 0 by adding it to your additional CSS section. So let me show you that code. I grabbed that on the front side, viewing it as a developer might view it. And this is very specific to that one instance. You can't really, realistically do that for many, many, many instances of it. So it's really best to change all of this specific call for that one time, to a more generalized style. I've called it reset 0 margins, and you can use that in the advanced section. Let me go to the row, the section, advanced. I could change it here, or I could instead add it to the additional CSS section. Now, I could also add it to my style sheet. When you add it to your style sheet, you get into I always screw up this word, specificity, and I have to add the important property when I'm using it in my style sheet. So it's just good to know what your options are, and there are many different ways to handle it. I think we've come to the end, right? Okay. So thank you for listening. If you have any insights about how you overlap columns, feel free to leave a comment. Questions, leave a comment. I do respond, and I do appreciate your time. Thank you very much.